Greetings, sovereigns. We are live. It's a Sovereign Sunday. Sunday, Sunday, Sunday. Sunday, 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 Sunday. Sunday, 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 Sunday. If you can see me, and if you are in our live stream on YouTube, please let me know. I am Moksha from the Sovereign Eats, and I want to welcome you to our May Jam Down and our link up. Welcome, welcome, welcome. As you come into the space, just greet each other. Um, Greet each other. This month we're hitting the ground running, right? Running in sprint mode, actually. And for those of you who are joining us, I appreciate you for joining us. We are on time, and today we have a short but sweet episode. Greetings, Ahot Manira. Thank you. Greetings, Naya. Peace. How are you? Good to see you all in the space. Thank you for joining and being just constantly being faithful and being present, being there. I like it. I like it. I like it. And for your engagement too. It's always a pleasure. How are you all? I know it's Yom Rishon is the first day of the week, and so I just wanted to greet you all and say, ask you how you doing. See how you
Forecast
doing.
is for a high of
Sorry,
83 and a
excuse
low of
me.
58
I
and
don't
mostly
know. You're probably hearing all of the background noises. You are all right. Thank you. Thank you for letting me know how you're doing, what's going on. I So I wanted to actually jump in to a little bit of a share. All right, we're going to have a guest on, and I'm currently just waiting for her to give me the thumbs up so I can pull her into our conversation and our dialogue today. Am I loud and clear? Can you all hear me properly? Just let me know. Give me a yes, so that way, Sister Manira says all is well. Sister Naya says she's great and she's finishing up making a market bag. I guess you're crocheting. Yeah, enjoying the beautiful weather, beautiful evening. Listen, it is 80 degrees. Can you imagine? Don't tell nobody. Don't tell anyone. Greetings, Sister Kashia. Welcome. Shalom. Shalom, shalom. Welcome. Yeah, it is so nice. I couldn't help but being outside today. And the sun is gonna go down, but I'm going to be here. Of course, I'll make it home before that time, but I am going to enjoy every minute of it. Every minute. So as we wait for our guest today, I just wanted to share that, yeah, again, we're gonna hit the ground running. This month is I consider it the month of mothers. I don't necessarily follow along with all of the secular celebrations, but I do want to acknowledge that there's this large conversation that we can have around mothers and their journey, right? A mother's journey, to be precise, and the way that they support their families in transitioning to vegan or plant-based life, right? So that's really important to just tap into women and mothers specifically, and mothers who have young youth, young children, who they always have to, they have to be dynamic, they have to have variety, they have to be creative. And so I felt that would be a great opportunity. This month would be a great opportunity to explore some of that. So today, though, I wanted to share really quickly um, one one sister elder I spoke to shared her own vegan transition story, and she had to transition because her mate actually had type 2 diabetes, and so the it the the change was definitely because he needed that change because of the health condition. And they and what was not an option for her was continuously taking medication or having him take medication. So this woman kind of she shared that she and her mates, leading of course, they sat all of their youth down and they said to them, no, we are shifting, we're changing and moving into a vegan lifestyle because of health purposes. And all of the youth, they were happy because they understood that it was a valuable shift, and it was an attempt to actually reverse the symptoms of that type 2 diabetes that he had developed. So they were all on board. That was a beautiful experience. But one of her challenges, she said, was that she had two sons who were athletes, and the challenges were mainly around they're they're being hungry all the time, and that's not something she understood until they were in the height of their season and they were playing, and she realized, oh my gosh, they're hungry all the time. So she had to actually consider the different foods that she and variety that she included in her meal planning and her meals to ensure that they maintained high levels of nutrients, because they're athletic. They're constantly moving and exerting energy, so they needed lots of foods that were rich in carbs and rich in energy-rich foods. So greetings, Sister Akuya, and greetings, Kashia. Thank you for sharing that we should hit the like button. So I'm going to bring Sister Jazira in. I'm going to add her to the stream. So greetings, Jazira. Thank
Greetings.
you. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Thank you for having me.
Of course, of course, of course. Y'all didn't see the other part. We were trying hectically getting everything together, but we are here, and I'm
We're
happy that you were able
here.
to join. Pardon?
I said, we're here.
Yes, of course, of course, of course. So Jazira is our guest this evening, and so Jazira is founder and creator of Jazira Design Studio, which is specifically focuses on graphic design services. She also is a fashion designer. And so the fashion design, Jazira's fashion house, sorry, is the focus when it comes to designing all royal apparel that you can think of, right? So she'll share a little bit about herself. But I thought having you on here and having you share your journey as a mother and the way you support your youth when it comes to transitioning to a vegan life was really important, because you balance all of these things. You balance the design portion, which is the fashion house. You balance the design studio part, which is the graphics design, motherhood, and also you love gardening. So there's a
Yeah.
lot of juggling happening. So tell us a little bit about your journey.
Wow. Give thanks again. So, journey wise, motherhood came unexpectedly. It wasn't, anything planned, but it was a big blessing because I've always wanted children. So, prior to having my youth, I was uh, designing, making clothes, designing and making the items that I design. So typically my work life was always rising in the morning, taking care of self, and then just jumping into what most people would consider grinding. But it's my love, my passion. So I would jump into that, and that would be basically my whole day, balancing out, designing, sending out orders, and all that fun stuff. And then summertime, I'm out in the yard gardening, picking up from where my father left off before he transitioned. So that's been my life. And then in the past, 2 years, it's been all about motherhood and balancing that out. So I have a 2-year-old, and I wish I could flip the camera because he's playing in the garden right now. So I have a 2-year-old, and the journey to motherhood was a little it was a little challenging. As you know, I had him 3 months early, so he was a premature child. And the biggest challenge about that was, you know, you make plans ahead of time how you want to give birth. You make plans on, what you how you would like to breastfeed and what you're going to feed your youth. And the biggest obstacle was when not only did he come early, but then a lot of those choices were taken because they weren't available. Of course, I couldn't have a water birth or at home birth like I would have loved to. Um, so we jumped into me being in the hospital, giving birth, and he being in the hospital for the 3 months. So basically, when you're preemie, gratefully he was born with very little issues. He was breathing right away on his own, so he didn't have to be on a cannula for too long because that again his lungs were already developed enough for him to breathe. So the challenge part was the feeding. When you're preemie in the hospital, they promote breastfeeding, but then they also fortify your breast milk with formula. And I was very against that because I had already made the decision that I wasn't going to give him any formula. I was going to focus on breastfeeding only. And so that was a little bit of a battle. I challenged them. And when I looked into other parents who were faced with the same situation, it appeared to be a battle that a parent can't win within the hospitals, which is something that I would love to see change because their focus is calorie, building up the being that the child is born so early, they're focusing on that child continuing to gain the weight as if the child was still in the mother's womb. Um, so within those 3 months, breastfeeding was happening, but the formula was the added thing that I wasn't so crazy about. But fast forward after that challenge, I was able to make my own formula at home, which it was a combination of old Haitian tradition um, baby formula. When you're young, they would make a porridge like milk, which consisted of, home is, cow's milk along with carrots and plantain raw. They grate so basically you grate the plantains and the carrots and you blend it and you cook it down with the milk, and that would be the formula that not necessarily formula, but this is something that was part of the child's meal growing up. So my twist on it was I use oats to make my milk, and I mixed it with a formula that this brother in LA makes that has fonio, which is a grain out of Africa, along with hemp seeds, chai, and coconut uh, powder, which was,
Right.
with the coconut. Coconut is, I think, the only one that has, and I'm forgetting the nutrients that you will only find in the breast milk. So I was able to make that for him for the first year, even first half of this his second. So that was yeah. So that was one of the biggest obstacles that I had to jump into. But boiling that down to, and I know you're limited on timing here, but that I learned to balance really focusing on on nutrition for him, the food, being that I am plant-based vegan, however, one prefers to call it. uh I put a lot of focus on what I have to give him on a day-to-day basis to make sure he's getting all the nutrients that he needed. So that means you have to be in the kitchen for a good, portion of your day, and learn how to prepare, um, and learn how to manage your time. So it's a balance of being in the kitchen. So I would do that early in the morning so that by the mid afternoon, everything is already prepared. And now the focus is on everything else, the work, and then still devoting time to him because, you're the teacher as well. So making sure he's, at that age, his motor skills, he's developing the motor skills and then the speech. and eating and all of that. So my biggest learning experience with that is just time management and paying attention and patience. And I think for any parent out there, when you speak to them, one of the things that I hear a lot is patience is something that you have to have. And for a lot of people, if they didn't have patience, they learned patience once they had their youth. And with him, I continue to learn patience because there are times where, you know, the beauty of having children is that they're the teacher more so than you are the teacher, because you're sitting there and you're watching them grow. You're learning how they are learning, so that you can basically work with their learning pattern. Um, so they're the biggest teacher, and when you watch and observe, that's when you get to learn a lot. You learn how to speak to them. One thing I would say to tie it into gardening, you water, you grow, you water, you it grows, you water, it grows. Children, you feed them, you nourish them properly, they grow, not just physically but mentally. One experience that we would hear about is, and I'm not going to remember the name because I'm terrible with names, but there's a Japanese guy who did experiments with the water when he spoke into the water, and depending on what he says, it formalized real beautiful crystals, and if it wasn't too nice, it the crystals were really not that beautiful. So imagine speaking life into a child. They pick up your energy, right? So if I'm saying no, don't do that, and I do it in a harsh voice, that he's gonna jump up and gonna feel a particular way. Opposed to if I come at him in a more gentle motion, then he understands. He's calm and he takes it in a little bit more. So I watch him how he reacts when I'm upset about something, um, and how he receives that information. So that's that constant reminder the way I have to know, okay, just be gentle. He's only two and he's learning, and the only way he can learn is, being taught. And it may happen a few times up until he gets to a point where you may have to come at them with that stern voice, but that lovingly stern voice,
So
Um,
I have. Oh, sorry. I have. So I'm a. It's interesting that going right because I really wanted to jump on. There's so many parts, but I find it interesting that you reverted to an old, um, and what should I say, an old recipe, a recipe of old to
yes,
introduce um, nourishment to him. Um,
yeah.
I'm interested in knowing at that age, he was really young, of course. This is prior to
Mhm.
me. He was a newborn. When you decided to transition so that you weaned him off of the cow milk formula, was
Mhm.
there any sort of challenge there? Was there a long, do you think that the period of shift or change was longer than you expected?
There wasn't any challenge. I mean, so the biggest challenge when I was feeding him is he had reflux, which is common for a lot of premature children.
Yes.
Um, so, and that is one of the reasons why I couldn't give him my breast milk alone, because the breast milk was too thin and it was going down. So when you have with him with a reflux, he had the potential uh, of it going down into his lungs. I was hoping this would not happen. They let the dog out next door.
All right.
um, he had the I'm sorry, not his airways. The fluid would go down his airways, so that was the reason why we couldn't give him any of my breast milk because it was way too thin. And as you know, when you're dealing with thin milk, usually what they'll do is add like cereal to it. But the breast milk is too powerful for that because it thins it out. It's almost like it melts it to the point it goes right back to liquid form, so it wouldn't help anyways.
Oh,
Um, so the first thing that I did was I researched. plant-based formulas, which is very rare in this country. But I did find one that was that is based out of France and it's made with rice milk. So I fortunately I have family that lives in Paris and they were able to help locate it. And while my sister was there, she brought some with her, and then and then they later sent me a couple of canisters while I still find alternative formula for him here. Um, so a couple of things that I did, I stopped giving him the medication that they gave me for him for the reflux. I was able to find a homeopathic one that are really tiny, and anybody who used it, they had great reviews about it. So I was
Okay.
able to transition him to that, and then with the formula, it was really easy for me to he didn't have any issues with me transitioning him from one to the other. But it was
Right.
for
No
a parent,
rejecting or throwing up or anything
no
like
rejection.
that.
Yeah, no, not at all. Um, and as a parent, being the first time parent, it was it was a little bit nerving because I wanted to make sure I was making the right decisions and giving him what he really needed without it affecting his growth. Because when you're dealing with these hospitals, they will kind of put you in like they'll kind of use this little scare tactic. When you go home, you have to give him the formula. Like you cannot not
Yeah.
give him the formula. So yeah, that's there. And the same way they come, with giving them shots. So they come at you on a level of making you feel like, oh my God, if I don't do this, things are not going to go well. I had to put all that aside, which I had already did that long before having children. I knew that was something that if I ever did, I would have to be prepared for, which I was. Same thing when in the hospital. I'm like, nope, I'm not letting you guys inject my child with anything. So it was already there. But making sure not having anyone immediate to say, oh, this is what I did for my child in the same situation. I just had to really do my research and figure out what was what, and then go from there. And I would say I knew I was on the right track for his first appointment. Everything was on track in terms of his iron. Everything was like, they do like a quick blood test to just make sure everything is up to par. He's not missing anything, and everything was normal as if any child who was on breast milk or who's taking whatever they give them. Um, so that was very reassuring for me, and I would say from then on, I knew I had it there, and I knew I had the ability to give him what he needed in order to be healthy.
So there are a few questions. This is so good. I'm not even saying anything. Take the floor. Take it over.
Oh, and so
Because
I don't think I'm able
it's
to see the questions.
no, I'll read them. I'll read them
Okay,
to you. I don't think you can. So Deidre Sully says, can anything be done to thicken and fortify? Um, I think she's talking about the formula. So breast milk, rather. And so and
the
you
breast.
may have, yes. Can anything be done to thicken and fortify the formula? I don't know if there's anything that you can add to it, but there may be herbal blends and so on, or foods
Right.
that are
Mhm.
fortifying to you so that your milk production
Oh, meaning
actually,
that I would take it to thicken.
yes,
So breast milk is naturally thin. It's not a thick liquid. So there isn't a way to like the mother herself to thicken it. Um, I did speak to my eldest sister has a friend who had a premium. What she did was she scooped. So what she did was did the carrot, peas, and the plantain. She scooped a spoon of that into her breast milk. And that's what she gave her daughter. Now that would have been what my plan as well, but unfortunately my milk dried out. I would say maybe like a month into him being home, where by like so he was born in July.
You're cutting out. We can't hear you.
Oh, you can't hear me. Oh, am I still cutting out? Because you're frozen on me on right now. Let me see if I go in.
We can hear. We can hear you, so you can keep talking. I think you can keep
Oh,
sharing,
okay.
but the video is. That's all right.
Okay, just wave if I'm not hearing you if I cut out again. But yeah,
Okay.
the only reason why I didn't use my breast milk along with the the plantain, and I'm sorry, and I want to be specific. It was the burro plantain, the burro
Right.
banana, excuse me, and that's
Right.
with the skin involved included as well. So modern time, instead of grating, I used the Ninja blender because it's strong enough to it. So you can get that the breast needed thickness.
Okay, good.
Um, so my formula that I did, I only created that because I was producing enough breast milk to feed, and no matter what I did, the reason my breast milk was come in. And by like so he was in July, he came home in October, and by September, November, my milk just started to dry out. So I had to, you know, come up with something else. And everything that I had in the freezer, he went for dirty. Hope that answered the question.
Yes, yes. So we have a
Okay.
few other. This is good because you're giving us all of the details. I wanted to jump to Sister Kuya says, Kashia says, give thanks for this wisdom. So you're dropping wisdom, give thanks. And Kuya says, it is interesting to know that breast milk overpowers whatever is added to it, not allowing the consistency to change. All right.
Right.
And that's exactly what you said.
Mhm.
Um, I don't see Kashia says she's definitely learning here. So there's so many. I know there are many other things that we can share. I wanted to know now that he is two. What
Yes.
are some things that you have to challenges that you have to work through to maintain that plant based? Because I know maintaining it for yourself, but how do
Mhm.
you keep him constantly engaged, wanting to eat, and um, satisfied and nourished?
Yeah. Well, one, he's a eater. I think I've mentioned that to you. If I let him, he would eat all day, every day, nonstop. Um, so I've been able to bring it to a level where I know what he likes, and I make sure. So, for example, just to give you an idea, he likes porridge. So I make oatmeal every morning, and I make sure to include fruits in there sometimes. And then mid before the morning is over, he's always asking for something else. So I'll cut up fruits. Like right now, he's big into mangoes, oranges, banana. So those are the three fruits that he eats a lot, and I give that to him in the morning. Uh, and then in between that before lunch, I'll cut up cucumbers. Apparently, children like cucumbers, which is a cool thing. So I'll cut up cucumbers, and he'll eat carrots and beets as well. The carrots, I do my best not to give him too much because it's a hybrid. But it is something that he likes, and it's a vegetable, so I'm not too strict with that. And then for lunch, I'll mix it up between pasta, and I use quinoa or lentil pasta. So I don't really use, so in terms of flour, I use wheat. Everything is spelt. And I make sure grains, brown rice, I do it as uh, at least once a week if I can. And everything outside of that will be a quinoa. He's not big on the quinoa right now, so it's a hit or miss. I usually have to slide it into, like, let's say if I make red lentils, which he likes, it'll be a if let's say if it's like a handful of red lentil, I'll put a few quinoa in there, so it kind of get lost in there, so he won't reject it. And he loves wraps, so I'll buy spelt wraps and that's where I hide all the vegetables that he tends to not eat when they're by themselves. So, um, and vegetables would be so I use the food processor to chop them down really small so they're not recognizable. And I mix that in with, like, let's say jackfruit or mushrooms, and I'll put that in a wrap, which he'll, have no problem eating. So I do definitely mix up a lot of the food, and I try to incorporate the things that he likes. Big texture is a big thing. So if it's too crunchy, if it's too tough, these are the things that I always have to be mindful of. For example, mushroom. It's a little the texture for him is not all that great, so I hide it in the food by chopping it up, with the food processor, along with leafy food. So anything that has a leaf consistency, he rejects it. Although he just started eating kale. So I'll make a kale salad and he'll eat that without a problem. So you have to introduce things to them little bit by little bit and just really like figure out what they like. Right now, Jacami, no, he is playing with dirt and putting it in his mouth.
Oh my goodness.
So that's been a very big challenge right there when we're
Oh,
out in the yard.
gardening. Right, right, right.
Yeah, and what you let them watch is a big deal. I let him watch Sesame Street, and that's the only thing that I'll let him watch. But I
Yeah.
find Cookie Monster is not the greatest of the monsters to let him watch because now, as he's doing with the dirt, is the cookie yum 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 yum, and then
Oh,
there goes all. Yeah.
oh my goodness. Okay. Well,
Yeah. So
he is having fun. I could hear.
he's
Um,
having.
yeah, and the Cleo says she loves hearing him play in the background. So, that's great. You mentioned something about the burro bananas, and
Mhm.
you mentioned the skin, and I was like, it's so interesting because many times we boil and we throw the skin away. The truth is, the
Yeah.
skin of the burro is high in iron, and
Right,
so,
and that's one of the reasons why. Yeah. So, being that he's a baby, and I didn't want, the concern was raw might be
right.
a little bit
Oh,
too much for him to consume. I did boil, and I'm glad you mentioned that, so that no one thinks that this was all in raw form.
yeah,
So I
but
did boil I boiled the burro banana, and then but I kept it in the skin and used that and blended. And I also added sea moss, just a little bit.
yeah.
Again, being that they're so young, you don't know like for me, I didn't know what would be too much for him to handle. So I would do a little bit of pretty much everything. And I wish I remember the Brothers blend. Oh, it's Yuhuru's Children's Blend, and it was a lifesaver because, like I said, the fact it had the coconut, the fonio, which I wasn't finding at the time and wasn't too familiar with it, that helped a lot. So I was
Right.
able to, so I would say his formula did have a lot in there, but it was a little bit of everything to help balance out. But one of the biggest thing, like you mentioned, the skin for the burro banana, that's where a lot of the nutrients lie. So that definitely played a big part. And with the oat, I got organic steel oat because steel oat is where you get all the nutrients. So I would use soak that and make the milk with it.
That,
But
well,
yeah,
I wanted to. We are going to wrap up a little bit.
yes,
I wish we could stay longer because I want to ask you about your almond milk process because we had a whole last year. We had a whole back and forth with the machine and how it
yeah,
works, and it was hilarious. It was funny. I think I actually still have some of the pictures of showing how disappointed you were, but it's good to know that there are different devices and tools, machines that we can use. And I know the device that you were using was really easy. It kind of expedited the process of making
yeah.
almond milk.
Definitely because I was doing it, traditional cheesecloth, which was
Right.
cool, but when you're he was he didn't sit in his chair for a long period of time. So there was a lot of, back and forth. So that didn't allow me to just sit in the kitchen uninterrupted for too long. So I needed something that was quick and I would have a good batch available anytime he was hungry, every 2 hours, every 4 hours, what have you.
Right.
So when I found this machine, it was just like, oh my goodness, this makes a lot of sense. And it's called Almond Cow. And the way that it works is that it has a basket that eliminates the need to use the cheesecloth because the
Right.
basket is thin enough for Jakami. No, no, no. The basket is thin enough for the liquid to go through, but not, the pulp stays behind. So it was
Right.
such a quicker process. It cut down in the kitchen. So I was grateful for that. I still have it, but I don't use it as much, whereas I was using it almost every day, or every other day.
Right.
But I did say, I'll go back to at least making my own almond milk and whatnot. But yeah,
Oh,
definitely helped cut
someone
down
said
the price.
someone said they heard about that contraption. She also said, Sister Akuya says she likes the formula and she wanted to know if you consume it yourself. Because I'm going to, I guess I can add the formula to the description once you send it
Yes.
over to me. I remember the
Hmm.
brother, but I cannot remember his. I actually think I do remember his Instagram handle, so I could probably find that information.
Yeah, oh, I'm sorry.
You're
You're the
right.
one that shared him to me because you sent me
Yes.
his lactate for formula. It was
Uh,
the Yep. So same brother. That was a godsend for sure.
Right. Okay, you reminded me. It was I think it may have been molasses. There's so much going on. I have to actually invite Sister Kashia. So if you're on and you can jump on right now, that would be great. So we can really wrap up. But you gave so much information. You should come back on so we can
I
have more
will. I
dialogue.
will. There's so much to give, and I know it was very quick. And I do have to. I did take pictures, which I think I shared with you the process of making the formula. I just
Right.
never took the time to write it out because I figured, if it was something that I was searching for and needed, I'm pretty sure there's other mothers out there as well. So I want to make sure I put that together so that it'll be readily available for anybody who may need it.
Right. Tell before we leave, tell us quickly about your fashion house, the design studio, and the work that
Okay, yeah.
you do, your services that you provide.
So as although I'm not operating in the same level, so Jazar Fashion House is my label. I design and produce women's clothing, accessories, hopefully soon men's clothing. Um, it's all handmade, so it's made to order. So if I work on a collection and I put it up, when somebody placed the order, I just get they send me their measurement and I build the outfit or based off of their so yeah, and so right now I don't offer a lot of men's clothing, but I will be soon once I get in terms of
I'm sorry, one
clothing.
second.
Hmm.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
So like right now it's mostly women's, hopefully children's clothes, because having a youth myself, that's definitely gonna be coming down the pipeline. But yeah, it's pretty much uh I guess what you would call bespoke head wraps. As you can see, Marsha had to remind me. So I used to have locks to my knees, and of course, wrapping my head every day, um, it took a toll on my hair. So after my hair started falling out, I came up with a better way to wrap my hair, which was with what you see here is like a cap with straps. And I started this back in 2013 or earlier, but it was to really hold my hair in place without, my hair dragging it back and pulling. And so this is one of the head wraps that I came up with at the time. Men and women can wear it. I make it, small, large for, people who have a lot of locks that needs to fit it in. So imagine just being able to fit your hair into a cap pretty much, and then you just wrap it in however way you want to wrap it. So this has been something that I did. Can
We're losing you. We're losing you on the audio. Um, we're losing the audio. Still can't hear you.
okay, and I'm getting a
Yes,
little.
now.
See if I
Well,
can move.
okay.
Okay,
And
are you
why?
getting me now?
Yes, great, great. All right, all right, all right. And Sister Kashia, jump in and share just a little bit about the ideas and themes that you're going to share for your podcast as soon as Sister Jazara is finished. Okay. I don't know. Are you seeing her? Or is she? Is it loading? Yes, it's loading. So go ahead, Sister Kashia. Go ahead. Tell us a little bit about your goals for sharing. Well, she's back. All right, go ahead, Kashia. Go ahead.
Okay, peace everyone, shalom. I'm Sister Kashia and I am a doula and I have Honest Doula is my business and I have an Honest Doula podcast and the theme for this month is liquid gold, breast milk, things that can encourage milk production, alternatives for those who can't breastfeed or who have low production and breast pumps and how to get your breast pumps and insurance, just all those things around breast milk and breastfeeding is going to be the topic of May for Honest Doula this season.
Well, thank you, thank you. So that way we can jump in and show your podcast some love. And maybe you want to collaborate with Sister Jazara. I don't know. It sounds like maybe. I don't know.
Sounds
But
good to
very.
me.
Give
I
thanks, give thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome. I really appreciate you all. Sister Jazara, do you have any words? Because I know the system kind of cut you off a little bit. So if you want to jump on and share before we wrap up, that would be good.
Yeah, so thank you again. And I know, there's so much to share. But I'm free for anyone who has any question. You could find me on Instagram, jazara.me, and then jazara.fashionhouse as well. Yeah, if you have any questions more about what we spoke about, I'm free to share. Even again, I'm hoping to um, able to share the recipe with anyone who needs it. So if I don't get a chance to post it, at least if you send me a message, that would just kind of push me to get it done. Because like I said, I have pictures that I did, and I think videos of the process, but I just never had the time to write it out for anyone.
He is having a ball.
The baby, yes, the baby.
I wish I could turn my camera so you guys can see like what he's doing. We just got back. He's in his dress shirt and pants, but he's just rolled in the dirt. He's having a field day with the dog right now.
Oh my goodness. Well, I want to thank you all for being on, and I am going to close off today, but it was beautiful, and I'll see you all again. Those of you who constantly join us, I hope to see you all on Tuesday for midday motivation. Yeah, we just got a peek at him. We just got a little peek. And Sister Akuya loves it. So
Yeah,
thank
he's
you very much, Sister Jatara. Thank you very much, Sister Kashia. She jumped off really
no
quickly.
problem.
Peace, everyone, and enjoy the rest of your first day.
Peace.
Peace.
All right, love.